everyone and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be reviewing and trying out for the first time the Jeffree Cosmetics Blood Money palette. So this is obviously just the uni carton and this is the palette itself. So it looks absolutely gorgeous from first impressions. I very recently got this palette for my birthday, so I'm going to be swatching all of the shades and then creating this eyeshadow look and just letting you know what my kind of first impressions and reviews of the palette are. But before I go ahead and get them swatched, there is a little sneak peek of all of the shades. They look gorgeous from the first impressions, and yeah, stick around for the swatches and the eyeshadow look. So there is another little look at the outside of the Jeffree Blood Money palette, and obviously the uni carton that it came in as well. So I am first of all going to get all of these really lovely shades swatched. I'll start off with the top row of shades and obviously work my way down, but I'm very excited because, as you can see, this is a brand new fresh unused palette, so very excited to see how these look swatched. And I think I'll probably have a look at the swatches as well to decide exactly what look I am going to do with this palette. So there is that top row of shades swatched, and I think they look even nicer swatched than they do in the actual palette themselves. So starting at the top is shade Divine Intervention, which is like a silver shimmer, but it's got some really gorgeous green flecks in it. I think the camera's maybe just about picking it up. It's really pretty and really interesting. Underneath that is a mint green called Mint Condition. This is just a matte shade, and following up underneath that is another matte shade, but this bright neon green this time, which is Chameleon Fetish. Kind of thinking I might use this one for my look. Underneath that is another shimmer, a really bright, beautiful green metallic. This is shade Poison Ivy. Underneath that is this kind of, I'd say like apple green matte shade, this shade Make It Rain. And lastly on this first row is this kind of deep teal green, again a matte shade, and that is shade Crocodile Tears. But yeah, first of all, first impressions, gorgeous shades. So this is the second row of shades swatched, and I'm just as equally impressed with this row of shades as I am the first row of shades. So starting at the top is this kind of like olivey green matte shade, that is shade Equity. Underneath that is this really beautiful bronze, but again with a green shift. It's actually, yeah, I don't know how it's got this shift in it, but it's absolutely stunning, and I think I might use this for my look as well. This is shade Money Heist. Then there's this gorgeous bright buttery gold, I'd say quite aptly named CEO. Then underneath that we have got this really lovely emerald green metallic shade. It felt quite grainy in the palette. I thought it was going to be like more glittery, but it's actually swatched really like softly and shimmery. That is shade Emerald Estate. Then there is this next matte shade here, so another teal, but I'd say this is a bit lighter and got a bit more of like a blue hint to it. That is shade Heavyweighted. And lastly is this dark jade green matte shade, very aptly named Jaded. So these are the final 6 shades in the Blood Money palette swatched, and yeah, I have to say I really love the look of these shades as well. So starting at the top is this, it's like a yellowy green. It's definitely more on the yellow side than green. This is shade Private Island. Underneath that is another really lovely green matte shade, that is shade Self-Made. Underneath that is another really buttery metallic, kind of like an olive green, I would say, that is shade Tax Free. Then there is this, it's like a grey green, like it looks grey in the palette, but it's definitely got a little hint of green in it. That is shade Persuasion. Underneath that is this really again like a dark grey green, but with those grey flecks and grey shifting again. That is shade Secret Stash. And last but not least is this black matte shade, again with a little bit of green sparkle in it, and that is shade Black Card Limit. So I think you'd have to agree that These shades are all really, really gorgeous. They've all swatched really beautifully. Those mattes are really pigmented. The shimmers are soft and buttery and bright and vibrant. To be fair, I wouldn't expect anything less from a Jeffree Star eyeshadow palette. I think from like my first initial impressions, I definitely want to use the shade Chameleon Fetish for my look. Definitely Money Heist. Maybe a bit of like highlight with Divine Intervention. That was like, had a really gorgeous shift in it as well. And stick around to see the eyeshadow look I create. So I've popped a little bit of eye base down. I've just gone for the Beauty Bay eye base in base 1. And the first shade I'm going to use from the Blood Money palette is going to be shade Chameleon Fetish, which is this green just here. A nice bright neon green. So I've gone for this big fluffy blending brush so I can hopefully blend it out as I apply it. Loads and loads has gone onto the brush with like literally 2 taps. I thought the white eye base as well would make it look even more vibrant as well. As you can see, it's just applying so nicely. It's so pigmented and there's like no fallout whatsoever, which is absolutely excellent. So not wasting any product either, and I can just buff it out as I go. I've never had any issues with the blendability of the Jeffree Star shades in any of the palettes that I've used, so hoping for exactly the same with this one. So there is Chameleon Fetish down on both eyes, and I love how bright and vibrant it is. I think on the eye it looks slightly more yellow, but I'm not against that whatsoever. I think it's a really, really gorgeous shade. It applied really easily, and yeah, it's just nice and vibrant. So next up, I'm gonna go in with shade Make It Rain, which was like that appley green matte shade, and for that I'm just going to focus on the outer part of my eye and then obviously get it blended into shade Chameleon Fetish. Again, with a couple of taps, it's gone onto the brush really, really easily. So let's get it on the eye. And yeah, as you can tell, again, another really pigmented shadow. It's blending actually really, really well into shade Chameleon Fetish. I think the tones together actually work really, really well. See, it's a bit darker, but it's not so dark. I'll probably go in with something else just in the crease just to add a little bit of depth, but I think that's probably as dark as I want this look. So there's those two nicely blended together on both eyes, and yes, they did blend together really very easily. I've just got this crease brush now, and I'm going to go in with shade, I think Jaded, yeah, shade Jaded, just into the crease just to add a little bit of depth here. So I'm going to pop this down, and then I'm going to use that same brush again to blend it out. So pigmented. I know I've said it for like every shade so far, but they really are. And then as you can see, it just blends out so seamlessly and so easily, which has created there a little bit more depth in the crease, which is what I like to see. So there is shade Jaded down on both eyes, and I think it's just, yeah, really added to the look. Before I go in with any shimmers or metallics, I'm just going to do the outer part of my under eye, and I'm going to go back in with shade Make It Rain. I've just got this small brush here just to get a bit more precision. So this was the second shade I used, that like apple green type shade. Again, it's applying really nicely. So again, I've gone about halfway along my lower lash line, and I'm going to save some space obviously to fill in this first part here. But it is now time to go in with the shimmer, and as I said, I'm going to use shade Money Heist, which was that gorgeous bronze with that stunning green shift in it. I'm just going to use my finger to apply the shade, because I think I always say is that I find that the shimmers and metallic shades always apply so much better. Sometimes they can get a bit lost within the bristles of a brush and you don't get their full kind of like pop and yeah, wow factor. So that's how it looks on my finger. You can see it looks like a really bright neon green there actually. I'm just going to drag that across my eyelid, just starting at the corner and just working my way towards the center of my eye. I don't want the shade across my whole eyelid, just really starting at the corner and stopping at about the centre, just to create a nice pop of vibrancy in what is otherwise just like not just a matte green look, but I think this has definitely added something extra to it. So hopefully you can see that pop there of that bronze and green. I think it's just so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and get this eye done, and then I'll be back to do this little under eye bit here. So I did say as well I wanted to try and make use of that shade Divine Intervention, which was that first one, the kind of like silvery shimmer with the green fleck. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to use this small brush just to get a little bit of it on the inner part of my under eye. So fingers crossed. Okay, that is actually applying really easily. I thought it'd just be a nice addition to the under eye and keeps it all looking a bit sparkly, but it was a lighter shade, so you can really see that gorgeous light green sparkle there. I think that is so pretty. So I think that looks so bright and vibrant and fun, and yeah, all of the shades have just been absolutely outstanding to use. So there is the eyeshadow part of this done. I'm going to obviously go ahead and finish off the eye look. I have got a black eyeliner pencil from Primark, I have got a black mascara from Colourpop, and I have got this Luxe lip oil also from Colourpop just to finish things off. So that is the final look all completed. I wanted to just pair it with like quite a neutral lip with a little hint of sparkle, just so the focus was on the eyeshadow, obviously more so than the lipstick. So I'll give you a close-up of the eyeshadow look so you can see that in more detail. I just love how all of these greens have worked together, and I think especially that like almost like highlight shade I've got on the inner corner of my eye, and also the other shimmer. Money High's probably two of my favourite shades in the entire palette, but I definitely can't wait to get stuck into the rest of it and create loads more looks, some really nice like dark green looks. I want to make use of that gold shimmer, I think that looks really lovely, and even some of those darker like grey green shades as well I think will look absolutely gorgeous, obviously with some of those brighter greens. So that was the swatches of course, and also an eyeshadow look using the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Blood Money palette. I think for first impressions this palette has definitely exceeded my expectations. I do love a Jeffree Star palette and I know the quality is always fantastic, but yeah, just the variety of greens in this I just think are absolutely stunning. They look beautiful swatch, they apply really nicely, and yeah, I'm really happy with the look that I have created. So obviously visually, first impressions, the palette is pretty outstanding. As you would have seen, it comes in this really eye-catching bright green uni carton, and of course the palette itself is like the traditional trunk type palette with all of this like gold detailing here. It's got this really interesting clasp which is a little bit fiddly. You have to like push it in like this way and then actually open the palette up. So of course we've got a big mirror in the top, and then there's the shades obviously upside down. I really like that they aren't all just the Jeffree Star logo. We've got like the pound sign. There also was like the balaclava mask for this one, dollar, a safe. I just think the attention to detail is just always absolutely outstanding, and I know I've said it like a million times already, but I was so happy with how the shades performed. So definitely let me know if you've tried this palette out, if you haven't, what you thought from your first impressions from here, or if you've got a different favourite Jeffree Star palette, then I would definitely love to know. I have reviewed quite a few others of his palettes, so if you're interested in obviously having a look at those, then check those videos out as well. And I do also have the Pricked palette left to review, so again, if you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. and I'll see you again in my next video.